In Islam, we believe it's like the religion with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, the final prophet, Khatamun Nabiyyin. He was like the seal of the prophethood. So all prior to the Prophet Muhammad, all of the prophets, they called to only one God and the worship of that one God. They didn't divide that one God into different personalities or persons. They didn't say God was a spirit or a man or sticks or stones. They said that God is only God, and they didn't go beyond that except that which they were sent with. So in Islam, this is what we believe. Islam is like the final religion which comes after Judaism and Christianity, but we don't say elements of them are revelation. For example, Christianity came after its founder, which was Jesus. If Jesus were to be on this earth and saw Christianity, he wouldn't recognize this. If Jesus came on this earth, peace and blessing be upon him, and he saw the Bible, he wouldn't recognize what this book is. And the Bible in itself is conflicted. You know, if you would. So what tends to happen with most people are lay like me and other people. They have the Bible, which is a collection of books, but they don't know how it was collected or why it was collected. The immediate assumption is that this book is inspired. But there's over 20 or so authors writing in multiple different places who have never met, and each and every one of their theologies differ. So in Mark, for example, it's the first of the four Gospels. You have Mark, Matthew, Luke, and then John. When you read Mark, you read it like he's more like a man. But by the time you've gone down to the authorship of John, or in the Gospel of John, you realize Jesus has become magnanimous. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No man can get through to God except by me. But if he had truly said this, we would expect the earlier gospel writers to have written this, or some kind of tradition, whether it's oral or anything. For example, something takes place here. Something takes place. The person who is present, I expect them to bear testimony to that incident, not someone much later on in a later place. Gospel of John, yeah? Gospel. Billah, I can't hear.
Hey, what are you talking about?
No, I'm just talking to you. So the later the gospel is, the more magnanimous you see the personhood of Jesus. Whereas Mark starts, and all of the scholars recognize this. You can go to the more skeptical scholars like Bart Ehrman, you can go to N.T. Wright, Dunn. All of these scholars, conservative as well as evangelists, they recognize this elevation of the godliness or the divinity of Jesus. In the Gospel of John, for example, in the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. This is nowhere to be seen in the rest of that very Gospel or the other preceding Gospels. Now, if Jesus or anyone had mentioned that he was a Logos, you would expect. Sorry, I can't hear anything. I'm speaking to you. Sorry, could I just? Yeah. If you just let me speak, you can hear. So you see, if I had made a high-flying claim, let's say, assuming some Christians say Jesus is God, he came down to earth, and his only mission was that you worship him, and he died for your sins, and he rose, etc. You'd expect him to be explicit. Now, how come all the other Gospels before Mark don't record this incident? It only takes place afterwards. We have to ask ourselves these historical questions.
Why do you think that in recent years Islam's expanded and Christianity's declined?
Okay, so Christianity gave up many of its values. It grew up in liberalism, and it allowed anything to do. Christianity used to have laws, many laws, and they had, I think, the Grecian decrees, decorum Grecian. It's where these priests and church fathers, they would lay down laws and they'll be collated, and people will follow down these laws. But now, because liberalism has grown so strong, Christianity has become mild. They've taken context verses which Jesus is reportedly or purportedly offset in the gospel out of context. I'll give you a version. He says, yeah, render unto Caesar that belongs to Caesar, and render unto God that belongs to God. So they said the church and the state should be separate. But this is not what Jesus ever held to. He said he wants the kingdom of heaven on earth. This is the Lord's Prayer. You see the coins that the Jews, and you have to understand history, the coins that the Jews used to have was stamped and sealed with the face of the emperor. The Jews were strongly against idolatry. Yeah? which obviously emerged later, the worshipping of man and spirits and so on. The Jews didn't accept it. They would not take the coin of Caesar. So what happened is you had to have money lenders and traders in the temple.
Yeah.
You remember Jesus chased out who? The money lenders. Why did he do that? Because they were dealing with coins, which for the Jews was idolatrous. So Jesus was asked about the taxes as well. And apparently he says, render unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar, but everything, and render unto God which belongs to God. But all things belong to God.
What do you think is a core? I'm not talking
Sure,
about...
can I just finish? I'll just take 1 minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So Christianity failed in the face of secularism and reinterpret many parts of the Bible, taking out of its historical context, not knowing that Jesus came to fulfill the law, not to break it, not to introduce new things. So this is an incident where Jesus was at the temple, and you can see this, the sacrificial animals. How did you buy sacrificial animals? With money. How could you use the temple at the time? It belonged to the Romans, not the Jews. It actually belonged to the Romans. It was made initially, the first temple period, by the Jews, but it fell into the hands of the Romans, Caesar's temple. And they used to want to buy sacrificial animals, but in order to do so, they would have to buy it with the coins. So when Jesus himself asked about the tax or the tithings unto Caesar, he said, unto Caesar what belongs to him, and unto God what belongs to him. Now, he didn't believe that some things belong to Caesar and some things belong to God. Rather, Jesus held what Muslims believe in, that everything belongs to God. But this is why Christianity is dying, because it's born in secularism, it's continuing in secularism, and it's giving way. There are no strong values. You look at secularism, it's taking away the wives from the husbands away from the wives, the children away from the parents. The government now tells and dictates to you what you can say to your children. You can't. If you do, they have social services on you. The children are taken, houses are broken, children are put into orphanages. Those children go through a vicious cycle of violence by being placed into orphanage or cares or foster homes. But Christianity doesn't have the strength at the moment to say this is wrong. They're introducing LGBT, and Christianity is well known to be against LGBT, but they're just kind of giving up. They're bending, but they know this is wrong. But in order because it's a new type of preaching,
Are you going to address me?
I'm speaking in the middle of conversation.
Yeah,
Listen.
young man something.
I think he's just as old as you.
Huh?
I think he's just as old as
Doesn't matter,
you.
we're both young. Both years though, isn't it? You're saying things.
Listen, I'm speaking to him, and you're trying to interrupt.
You
said
two
the first
should have a
time.
conversation on camera.
Yeah, I don't mind, but the thing is, if he's going to be, look, the thing is, when people are combative, remember we started off this conversation, I said I'm not a debater. And what these guys tend to do is know nothing about history, they know about the Bibles, and they read the only thing. Ask him any questions. Sorry. Can we just? I'm gonna let him in a few seconds. I'm gonna discuss it. No, but I'm speaking to him. No. You leave us alone. Don't stop being rude. No. Let me have my discussion. Okay, look. This is typical. So the Christians instead. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to. Apologies for this and apologies for any other Christians. This is the typical dawah of the Christians. Instead of talking about Christianity, they come and try to interrupt Muslims having conversations. Now, if you not, do you even look? Let me finish my conversation. Have some courtesy. Are you okay if I speak to you and you speak to me and someone interrupts us? Answer. You're not even interrupting me. I'm not interested in the debate. Listen.
That I am challenging, and you won't let me challenge.
I'm in the middle of a conversation, mate. Can't you see?
Why don't you address me?
Because I'm in the middle of a conversation. If you can't understand that I'm speaking to him, if you don't understand,
you're telling him about Christianity.
So explain to him what I said as well in regards to the text. But let me finish. Listen, what's your name?
Chris.
Okay, Chris. My name is Hamza. Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Let's have some courtesy. Chris.
That's fine.
I'm speaking.
But let's talk.
Chris, let me speak. This is not a conversation. If you come in and you start talking over me while I'm talking, that's not courteous.
Because you are saying
Listen,
things
even
that are
now,
forced
even
to a
now,
man
Chris.
here
No, it's not false. The thing is, I'll be very honest here. I dislike talking to people who are not courteous, who are not polite, who don't listen. Again, I'm speaking, Chris. No, I don't have any script. I don't. You have a script, and if you want, you can engage in the. All right,
I've learned your script and how much
we'll see.
It's interrupting.
And for that reason, you cannot debate on an equal
I do what you said.
It's nice to meet you. I'm really sorry. Conversation was rudely interrupted. I'll get back to you, but you can watch this conversation.
Speaker's corner though.
I know, but the thing is, I don't come only to debate. Sometimes people debate only for the sake of ego, and that just diminishes any form of knowledge.
You've got 3 cameras on you.
So,
You've got 3
so
cameras
are
on
you
you.
jealous of
and you're
something?
saying,
Do you want to
they're
be
doing
in the
it
center
ego.
of attention?
What
Do you want to be in the center of attention?
Joke. You're telling me
See, this is what I'm saying. So is this polite now? Is your approach
because you're not
polite?
being polite.
Is it Christian?
Because you are
No,
trying to
I'm
get
in the
me out of
middle
the
of a conversation
conversation.
Chris
You're
made.
afraid of what I
Even
will
up
say.
to now, from the
No,
beginning,
let's just keep speaking.
you've not even
Yeah,
let
let's
me
keep speaking.
speak. No,
Let's keep speaking.
I'm
Let's keep
speaking
speaking.
and you've interrupted me.
Prove
Not
to me
once,
that Muhammad did
not
miracles.
twice.
Prove to
See
me
now,
that Muhammad did
no,
miracles.
not to this.
Why are you interrupting?
No, now he wanted to get into conversation, and he said that what I spoke was wrong, and what he tries to say, I came with the script. So then he says, "Oh, let's talk about Muhammad's
talk about
miracles."
it.
No, you
Then
say
yes,
that
no.
you said I spoke lies in that conversation.
Yes, you did.
Tell us
because
the
you talked
lies.
about
Tell us lies.
Christianity
Which
when
one?
there is a
Which
Christian
one?
right behind
Which
you.
one?
That is disrespectful.
Which one is the
Which
lie?
one?
I'm
You
not
said
talking
that-
about
did you just say
disrespectful,
to be
Chris.
God? You said
Don't
that
lie. You
Jesus
said
was not
I
God.
lied.
You
So
said
tell
Jesus
me.
was not
You said
God.
I lied in
That
this
is your lie. I
conversation.
called you
What
out.
else? What else?